very easy to get into that mindset of like comparing, seeing everybody as an enemy. It's like, I can't be friends with you because we're both trying to get this thing.
And I think there's a lot of, oh, how did this person get this? They don't have the skills. I've been working so hard and how come I'm not getting anything?
And that you don't know who's lying or telling the truth sometimes. Like people post a photo of them on a premiere of something and you're like, wait, how did they get an invite to that?
Yeah.
Or like, did they get an invite to that or did they just pay for it?
Yeah, and the next minute it's nothing like how you thought of it.
So competitiveness is a very big thing in the film industry, especially amongst actors.
Yeah.
And comparison.
Definitely. I think a lot of it stems from because there are so little roles out there. There's a lot of roles, but actually there's a lot of people who audition for them. And at the end of the day, only one person gets the role. And I think that leads to a lot of competitiveness in general. And also, like, yeah, like only 2% of actors actually succeed statistically. Like only 2%, or I think it's 1.8 from the last time I read it, actually become working actors. So they actually make a good living out of acting. So I think that could lead to a lot of people, oh, I didn't get the role, but this person got it. Or how's this person doing so well?
Yeah, it's a lot of like comparing, because when you walk into an audition room and everybody else is there for the same role and you're like looking at everybody like,
You're kind of
how are they,
you're sizing them up, you know? You're like, are they gonna, like, am I better than them?
Like, you're listening like, how are they doing the role? Or like, how are they dressed for the role? Like, am I doing something wrong? Or
Yeah, my very first callback was back in, I don't even remember when, maybe like 2021 or something like that, yeah. But it was for a commercial and they were looking for East Asian males, I think specifically like Chinese or maybe Korean. And pretty much, I remember when I got there, I saw two guys and they were just keeping to themselves. They weren't saying hi. And me generally, I like to just say hi to people. So I started creating conversation and then they started warming up, but then other people came in and then they were also very standoffish. Like I didn't like that at all because I know that only one of us gets the role, but by being like very standoffish and very like closed off, it's not going to do anything at that moment. Like you're not going to psych me out or like, you know what I mean? Like we should make each other feel good because maybe you might get this and then down the line, I'll get this other one. Like,
yeah, I think it's just like the way the industry is, and like with like so many people going for one role, I think it's very easy to get into that mindset of like sizing each other up, comparing, seeing everybody as an enemy. It's like, I can't be friends with you because we're both trying to get this thing.
yeah. And I think there's a lot of, and like, you know, I've been guilty of this in the past where it's been like, oh, how did this person get this? Like they don't work as hard or they don't have the skills or, you know, this and that. Like, how did they get that? Like, I don't understand. Like, I think that also can create a lot of like anger or resentment when you're like, I've been working so hard and, you know, I 2 jobs back to back and, you know, my life is like financially not good and family not good and I'm working so hard and how come I'm not getting anything?
I think social media has changed all of that to amplify all of that, and there's a lot, and I'm guilty of it too. I think
everyone's posting their highlights.
everybody's posting their highlights, and you don't know who's lying or telling the truth sometimes. Like people post a photo of them on like a premiere of something, and you're like, wait, how did they get an invite to that? Or like, did they get an invite to that or did they just pay for it?
Yeah, and the next minute it's nothing like how you thought of it. Like it's just like they just stepped on and then just walked off. Like,
yeah, like you don't know. And social media causes you to have a lot of envy for people, which is really terrible.
Yeah, like I think that's one of the biggest things. And you know, for me, like just starting out, like I had a lot of those feelings too. But I just remember one way that I got around it was just thinking to myself that in life, everyone has their own trajectory, and you don't know what yours is, and you don't know what someone else's is. And I remember reading a story thinking that there was this one actor, I can't remember who it was, and there's a lot of actors like this. They do one role and they make it big and they never work again. Like the kid from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original with Gene Wilder, that was his only acting role.
Wow, yeah.
Imagine how big he was when he finally, like when that finally released, and he was in this every cinema and stuff, and all the other child actors would have been like, man, like I wish I got that role. That was the hit.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not it was a big hit because it was back then, but just like this scale of it. And then he never acted again. And if you said to one actor then, do you wish you had that life? They would be like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want my own path now. And that's the thing. You have to realize if someone succeeds now, who cares? Think about your own success. They might succeed now, but they'll never succeed again, most likely at the same point.
Yeah.
So just focus on your own journey. That's the thing.
And like I always think too, like you see someone who's done way less than you get an opportunity that you really wanted, and you're going to get like frustrated about it, but it's like it's not just about getting the opportunity, it's are you ready when the opportunity comes? Because if the opportunity comes and maybe you get it and you weren't ready, that's probably what's going to happen to your career path, because you might just flop because it's like, well, I was not ready for that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's also a lot of delusion in our industry. Like I've seen it so many times where people, they think they're ready for something or they think they're right for something and they're clearly not. And again, it's social media, just, maybe it's like their friends or like, other people just telling them like, oh, you're so great at this or you're so great at that. But you haven't even paid your dues or you haven't earned your stripes to get to that point. But then all of a sudden they think, oh, I'm on this level or I can do this. And then after that,
but then
the competitiveness is just like...
Or they get an opportunity and then they just get embarrassed because they were not ready for it.
Yeah.
Which I think is worse, having that happen to you, than not getting something and working hard for a long, long time and then getting an opportunity like some actors have in their 40s and 50s even. And they shoot up like that. Yeah. And it's like, why? Because they had all these years where they're preparing and refining themselves. So when they got it, they're going to shoot up.
Yeah. That reminds me of one thing where it's like, I feel like sometimes people, especially the non-actors, they always think like, doing this for so many years, what's happening every year? Like, you're not getting anywhere. But it's like, yeah, maybe like the opportunities haven't come, but I'm improving every year. Every year, I'm getting better and better and better and better. It's just when the opportunity comes, I'll be prepared.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not an overnight success. The media loves to find an unknown actor and go, oh my gosh, overnight success. When actually they spend like 5 to 10 years like paying their dues and working hard.
I think almost every actor has this story where they had to do just the worst type of odd jobs or just things they didn't want to do, and then they made it. Like as if like fucking Brad Pitt was wearing a chicken costume, promoting the chicken shop before he did anything. Like it's not that easy as people think. And I think if people again focused on themselves more and understood the other people more, then there wouldn't be as much competitiveness.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if you are that type of person, it's only detrimental to you. That's the only person it's detrimental to. It's not detrimental to other people. If you try to put down someone or you try to talk bad about someone, it's only detrimental to you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just shut the fuck up and you just put your head down, work on your own self, make yourself the best version of yourself that you can be, then that's when you're going to find success and like that's when you're not even going to think about these other people or what they think and things like that. Like, just truly enjoy your journey. That's the one advice I would give to combat competitiveness.
Yeah. And another mindset that I sometimes have fallen into, and you really have to get yourself out of it and think clearly, but seeing someone else succeed on social media doesn't mean that you can't also succeed. Like, I think we fall into this trap of, like, you see someone, they post something like, oh, I got this major role or something, and immediately your subconscious kind of goes, oh, they got that. How am I going to, or I'm not going to get that because they just got it. But that's not true. It's like, you can be happy for them because you can get it too. There's actually room at the top.
That's true. Yeah. I think also one thing to point out is the support that you keep around you is very important.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like there's always two types. When you succeed in something, there's a type who they hate you for it and they get envious, and there's a type who will support you for it and be like, that's awesome, that's great work. And you should always keep, obviously, the second type around with you.
Yeah.
Anyone who, when you succeed and their immediate reaction is, why? Or,
Or
I'm jealous. Do not keep that person as a friend. That is not a friend. The friend is someone who will celebrate your success and know that you'll celebrate their success when it happens. That's how it should work.
Yeah. It's not a rivalry thing. And like something one of my friends, who I'm still friends with from acting college, we used to say to each other is, if you succeed, I succeed. Because like, you know, when you have a good friend like that, you're going to support each other no matter what happens. And it's true. If I succeed, you're my friend. I'm going to help you and vice versa.
That's always the case. And like, that's with the previous video that we were saying of like the relationship thing. Like, I always think that, like, because with us, it's like, I think it's, like, it's not like we'll both succeed at the same time all the time. But let's just say, for example, you get a major role or I get a major role. And when that happens, guess what? They're going to look at the profiles of us and guess what they're going to see? Noah. And the next time we make something on Noah, they're going to be like, oh, Sangeetha's in it. So let's bump this project up. And guess who else is in it? Marshall's in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just like, oh, you know, this and that. Like, you have to find ways to help each other out. Like, everyone that is like close to me, like, I always think when I succeed, I'm going to try my best to give them something or just to help them or like do something for them to say thank you, like, you've been here, and hopefully one day and then they'll really succeed and they'll do the same for me. Like, that's how it should work. So keep that circle with you, and all these people who, you know, like, they say they're your friends but they just want to keep you around just to see what you're doing and things, just let go. I think as hard as it is, like, I've done it before. Like, I've been on, you know, these purges, as you would say, and it's like, at first I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad for doing that. But then in the end, I'm just like, well, they just watch my stuff and they never support it. So why, like, is this even a friend?
Yeah. And I think it's those kind of keeping those people around that makes you feel worse. Because you feel like, and it's funny about the circle, the circle that you're in, because like, and this happened to you recently, where you've made something and you put it up and people have just looked at it and not said anything. And you start to think, am I shit?
Yeah.
And then you change your circle and you put it somewhere else and it's the opposite reaction.
Yeah. Recently, I started using RedNote this year, which is the Chinese Instagram. And yeah, like, when I do post my art and films and acting and content on my page on Instagram, I barely get anything. Like, no one says anything or supports it. Or there are people, and I'm very grateful for that. The ones who do support it, there's a few, and those are very, very loyal, and I'm very happy about that. But I think vast general people that, I know and follow me and stuff, they don't really support it as much. But then I go on Red Note, and for some reason, strangers come to my page and they comment and they like it and they say all these nice things. And I'm just like, it's your environment.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you're in an environment, especially the industry, where it's so competitive and so envious, like, just take yourself out.
Yeah.
Either physically or just mentally, because that's not the environment that you thrive in. Put yourself in one that you thrive in, and you'll see the big difference, you know? And the other thing that I've learned with competitiveness and all these support and, you know, no support is it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I used to live in a place where it was like broken down. People didn't even say hi to you when you walked past. Like, there was no support. It was a little tiny room that I lived in and I stayed in, and no one supported me, and except you and like a few good friends. And then I watched everyone around me get roles. Everyone's commenting on just very even basic posts saying like how great they were. And at that moment, I realized that at the end of the day, if you want to do something, you have to do it. Like, just, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have faith in general. And it doesn't matter if people are constantly telling you how great you are, or if no one's telling you, or if just one person's telling you. You still have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. You have to have a bigger reason for why you're doing this, because that's what's going to keep you in it.
Yeah.
If your reason is not big or it's very superficial, you're not going to last. Yeah, and you'll fall into these bad habits and mindsets. But if you know where you're going, you trust in it, you have faith. You have faith that you're going to get it in the perfect timing, in like God's timing. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. And on that, it's like the other thing is that's going to make you completely forget about all this stuff is you have to devote yourself to something much bigger than you. If you think about that on a scale that, oh, I'm just a small piece to a big picture and I'm helping that big picture, I'm devoting myself to something great for the greater good, you're not going to feel like, oh, this person didn't like my post or this, like,
so minuscule.
even if you make stuff and you do it because you actually honoring a good cause, if no one looks at it, at least in your heart, you know you've done the right thing. If one person likes it, that's all that matters. If one person is encouraged by it, then that's all you need. Because, yeah, like, I think a lot of people don't have that in their hearts, or they don't have such a big purpose, and it leads to a lot of small purposes.
You don't realize when you think on a bigger scale and you think on like a really worldwide massive scale that, like, think about where you are and how blessed you are to even have the opportunity to be dreaming like this, opposed to somebody in a less privileged place. Imagine how much they would want to be you. Like, when you just look at it on that scale, all these little issues are so stupid. Yeah. It's like someone can't even know when their next meal is going to be on their table, and you're worried about who didn't like your story. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say though that if you are still really affected by like the issues on social media, just remove yourself. Just take a break.
Yeah.
You have to. I have done it.
You always feel better when you do.
Yeah. You don't even want to go back sometimes. You're like, you don't realize how much time you waste thinking and being on there that you could be putting into a project or something creative.